Hello. Hello, hello. We're going to jump right in. We might have a few more families joining us, but I'm just going to make the waiting room welcome to all. So we will make it easy for those who are coming late to just jump in and we'll just jump right in. Sarah's going to go first.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining our first ever. Let's have a little Zoom with families that are thinking about signing up their kid to come to camp. So we thank you for being on this call. Just wanted to give a quick introduction about Odayin. Some of you are already familiar with us and who we are and what we do. And then I'd love to hand it over so we can each do a little quick introduction. But just wanted to give you the quick history of Odayin. We have been around since 2002. So we've been hanging out with kids that have special hearts for 23 years. And we love it. And we feel honored to be a part of your lives and be a part of your journey. So we have witnessed firsthand in those 23 years so many amazing things. Relationships that last a lifetime. We've witnessed confidence go through the roof in our heart kiddos. We've seen our kids trying new things. We've seen families at family camp get to meet other parents and super sibs that understand what it's like to have a heart hero in your family. So in these 23 years, our growth has been remarkable. We've got camps now in Minnesota and Wisconsin. So summer camps, family camps, our moms retreats are in both of those locations. So we're growing a lot. And again, we welcome you to our family if this is your first time with Odayin, and we don't use that word lightly. We are a family and we take care of each other. So welcome to our fun Zoom that we're going to have tonight. And I'm going to popcorn to a family. So here's how it goes. Maybe I'll popcorn to our staff first so you can see what we do with popcorn. And then we'll hand it to our families. So let's do your name. So your heart hero's name, if your heart hero's on the call, and do a wave. If not, it's okay. And maybe where you're calling in from. How about that? What city are you in? And let's say, um, favorite holiday movie. All right. So my name is Sarah. I'm calling you from Lake Elmo, Minnesota. My favorite holiday movie is Elf. And I'm going to say popcorn, Chris. So she goes next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris. I'm Director of Operations. You would likely see an email from me, or if you contact us by phone or email, I'm generally the one you'd be responding to. So nice to place a face with who Odayan is when you're calling in. Okay, I am in Minneapolis. I also like Elf quite a bit, but I also like Murray Christmas. If you haven't seen it, it's Bill Murray, and he does all these songs. Highly recommend it. It's very good. So, A Very Murray Christmas. That's what it's called. And I'll popcorn to Carrie.
And I've been with Camp Odayin for it's about 8.5 years now. My co-director Kelsey and I were the two who got to start the camp down in Wisconsin. So that's been a very exciting process for me. I love it. I am in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and my favorite holiday movie is, well, I have two. Sorry. First, of course, is It's a Wonderful Life. And then I can't think what it's called. The holiday one with like Jack Black and Carmen
The holiday.
Diaz. The holiday.
Mhm.
That's what it's
That's a
called.
good
Yeah.
one.
Popcorn too, Brooke.
Hey, everyone. My name is Brooke. I'm the Minnesota program director. So I get to hang out with you lovely people all year round. I am broadcasting from Champlin, Minnesota, which is a little bit north of Maple Grove. We just moved here a few months ago. We're very much loving getting settled. I've been around with Odayin since 2004, we'll say. Um, fun story if you want to hear it another time. Because we're going to tell you all the things that we can in the next 20 or 30 minutes, all things Odayin. Winter camp. That is the program that's coming up the soonest. It's going to be registration is still open. If you haven't yet decided if you want to come, you still have time. But we're just going to highlight a few things that happen, and we'll take some questions because I'm sure you'll have some things you'll want to ask that we might not answer. And Carrie, you just kind of bounce off of me if I have something that I've forgotten, or just give me a little thumbs up. But it is a weekend experience that we host out in Amory, Wisconsin. We bus kiddos from Oakdale, which is where our headquarters is, as well as Milwaukee. We all arrive on Saturday over President's Day weekend, which I can tell you is like February, I don't know, 17th? Close? Am I close? We'll say I'm close.
15th.
The
Thank you.
15th to the 17th.
I'm like, it's close. We get there on Saturday around lunchtime and hang out until Monday around like 11 or noon, and hop back on the bus to get to where we started. So we have lots of fun activities inside and outside. We know that some of the kids tend to come to winter camp and worry if they have to spend all of their weekend outside. And I will say, absolutely not. We have a lot of activities throughout the day and throughout the evening that are really, really fun. So let's see if I can highlight a few of them. We've got costumes. We've got fun activities during dinner, which usually includes songs. We have games that are put together by our fun leadership team, and lots of activities for you and your cabin group to hang out and do with together. We have a time outside that we call Winterfront. It kind of is similar to our summer experience where we call it Waterfront, but during this time outside, the kids play with their counselors and their nurses and all of their friends. We have a fun sledding hill, and we have a broom ball court that is sometimes on the lake if it's frozen. Otherwise, it's set up on land. And then inside, we have some fun activities waiting for those who want to stay warm and cozy. You can get hot chocolate in there. There's fun crafts and games, and usually someone leading an activity. Sometimes we have visitors in there too, putting together some fun things for us to enjoy. At night, we have more fun activities where you'll get to go around to different stations and do things science related or art or theater. Oftentimes we'll pull in our theme, which I'm not going to tell you, so that it is all very, very exciting and very fun. We have a movie on Sunday night that we watch. I'm not going to tell you that. But all things happening are connected to you and your cabin group. So when you are with us at Camp Odayin, we often put you guys together in small groups, and many of you might be familiar with this, but we call it a cabin, not because you sleep in a cabin. You sleep in a very cozy, comfy bed with heat, and a bathroom and a shower and all those fun things. But we call it a cabin group so that you understand that you're part of a smaller group that rotates to different activities and sleeps together in a bedroom. And you will have 2 counselors and 1 nurse to keep track of everyone and make sure that all the things that you need are happening. And that comes from, all of your meds to if you forgot a toothbrush or if you need an extra blanket. All of those things we'll make sure you have. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Carrie, what you got? Anything else?
I just want to add the part. I know that everybody in this Zoom tonight is from Minnesota, but if anybody watches this later on who's from Wisconsin coming, or Chicago or whatever, coming from Milwaukee, we do get to spend a little bit more time together on the bus. Our ride is about 5 hours, and it actually goes pretty fast. I was surprised. And so we leave like by 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and we get back on Monday between 5:15 and 5:45. So just so you know what that time frame is. And we have some snacks on the bus. On the way up, campers bring their own lunch, and we get to watch some movies or just kind of do some things together. I get to know everybody really well before we get to camp, so it's an adventure before the adventure.
Got it. does anyone have questions about winter camp or just about camp in general? Because most of what you need to know for summer camp and winter camp are kind of the same. Yes.
So you will get a one-on-one with Roya's nurse when you check Roya in. And you're going to pack enough meds. We ask for the 3 days of camp and just one extra in case. And you'll get all this ahead of time. And so you're going to hand over Roya's meds in the original prescription bottles, no pill cases. And you're going to fill out a full sheet. Our transplant kids sometimes have 3 sheets that they bring, so we know. And you're going to list exactly this med, this time, this amount. So it's a nice grid. And so you are going to go over that with the nurse, and the nurse is going to read it. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? They're going to ask about bedwetting. They're going to ask about any type of non-prescription medications like supplements, vitamins. And again, that nurse and you too, or whoever's there, will sit down, and Roya will be with you. And so the nurse will ask Roya, does Roya have any questions? We also have an intake form that every counselor and camper will go through at the beginning of all of our camp programs. Have you been exposed to chicken pox? Is anybody in your house sick? I mean, we really trust parents to send healthy kids to camp. And we trust our counselors and nurses that they're going to be healthy themselves when they come to camp. But we do have hand sanitizer everywhere. We always have masks if anything were to happen and we would need to mask. Our medical manual, which, gosh, I was just looking at, is only 38 pages long. Like Brooke was saying, every counselor has 2 counselors and a nurse. So there's a triad. So there will be 3 people supervising a cabin group of 6 to 8 kiddos. So Roya will have a lot of people with eyes on her and loving her up. And we promise to take good care of her.
That's
To make sure that that's something that we know. So if they're like, so typically a nurse would say, hey, I've got a camper who needs to be first in line at the buffet, and we're off. So again, say that to your nurse, make sure that they're aware of what it is that you want her to do differently, or in case of for her transplant.
Know that there's sometimes lots of extra precautions and things that
Mhm.
we'll be aware of, and you'll tell us, and like I said, we'll take good care of her.
Did you guys have another question about dietary restrictions that you turned in?
Want to get clearance from the cardiologist, probably right before camp, that things are still progressing, healing is happening, strength is coming back, but no issues. We will have people carry your luggage for you. We will have people help you if you need help buttoning a shirt. And if you want to be like me and not shower at winter camp for 48 hours, no big deal. It would
Yeah, so the
kids will
nurse,
pick lines for sure. We will absolutely work around it. And
so if there's a need or a request that you have for the nurse to kind of be more of an assistant, she could just wait in that space with Abby, and then Abby can kind of let the nurse know what she needs, if that makes her feel safer too. We can put a chair in there. We can make it really accessible. And
Awesome.
we can keep talking through this stuff too.
Till we get there.
You won't know until you get there. I have been known to sneak the information out ahead of time if it helps ease a little bit of nervousness, but I'm not broadcasting that to anybody else. You didn't hear me say that. Anybody else who's listening to this. Make sure that you put his buddy's name in the application. There's a spot for him to request cabin mates. And even though there's 2 spots, we can guarantee at least 1. So and if his buddy is the same age and the same gender, it's almost always gonna happen.
Yeah.
Site that we put a lot of photos up, about 300 a day during summer camp. And so a lot of the families who are like, need to see proof of life will really love that. So we tell our families that very, very often, like, please go check them out. We don't do it for winter camp because it's such a short window, but I will tell you, for summer camp, we have a really wonderful opportunities for you to stay connected. Granted, we can't respond back, but you can send daily notes for your camper to get every day at lunch. And a lot of parents will send letters a week before the summer session so that the letters are at camp when they arrive. And that will at least give you an opportunity to make sure your kids feel comfortable and they have, some updates from home. And you'll get updates via the photos from your friends and maybe a little from me. Any other winter camp stuff? Because we'll jump into some summer camp details. At winter camp, the campers and the counselors all sleep in a bunk room together. There's about 8 beds, and one counselor puts the kids to bed and makes sure that they're all settled while the other counselor is at a meeting. But then both counselors are back in the room throughout the evening. There's night lights, there's a bathroom right there, set up a routine, right? Like we know these kids are used to a certain way of things at night. So it's oftentimes, we have like a circle where we come together and they gather and they might talk a little bit about their day or what they're looking forward to tomorrow. Sometimes they'll read a book. They'll sing some songs. They'll have just like their little routine so the kids can kind of feel a little bit more like a family, if you would say. Homesickness is pretty typical. We're really used to it, so we have a lot of tools in our toolbox to make sure that we're ready. We would encourage you to pack everything that your kid sleeps with at night. If that's a stuffy and a blanket and a pillow and a nightlight and a sound machine and earplugs and an eye patch, bring it all. It will make them feel safe and comfortable. If they sleep with 6 blankets, you can pack them. We'll make it happen. Those kinds of things. So we've noticed a lot of the times that bringing as many comfort items from home really helps aid in a little bit of the homesickness. We've got counselors who have come back to us as young adults. Some of them are parents, some of them are grandparents. And so I want you to know that you will have a pseudo parent with your kid at all times, especially at night. 8:30, and we wake up. We try and keep them in their bed as long as we can, but breakfast is around 8 o'clock. Okay, summer camp. Carrie, you want to go first for our recorded people?
I will.
For people watching the recording, I mean.
So in Wisconsin, our camp we just have 1 week. So all of our campers come the same week. So it's in all ages. So basically, first grade through 11th graders. And so we do our best to honor requests. But if you've got a camper who's 8 and they have a friend who's 10 or 11, we cannot necessarily guarantee that they're going to be together, but we really do try to make one of those matches if they have multiples listed. Anyway, so our cabin sizes tend to be about 8 to 10 campers, along with their 2 counselors and nurse. Our day, first and last day are a little bit different than the other 3 days, but basically, campers get up around 7, 6:30 if they're early birds, breakfast at 8. And then in the morning time after breakfast, they have a little bit of time to get ready for the day, clean up their cabins before we have clean cabin checks. And then we start a rotation of activities in the morning. So they may have, there's 3 sessions in the morning. So they will be with their cabin group for the whole morning. They may go to ropes, the high ropes and zip line, things like those. That's one section. We have different things at the waterfront. So swimming, boating, fishing. We have archery, not at the waterfront, arts and crafts, and we come up with a couple of different fun things every year that are unique each year. So there is a rotation that they go through every morning for those, the four mornings that they'll do that. Then we have lunch for about an hour is our lunch time. But before each meal, we do gather and do some singing. And then after lunch, there is a rest hour. So campers do have a chance to just relax. And we do want them to do quiet things on their bunk, because some campers do need to take a nap, even not just young ones. Some of our older campers are pretty worn out by after lunch or after eating and kind of full, just need to take a break. Our meals are served cafeteria style, and we do accommodate dietary restrictions or allergies, whatever there may be. If there's a certain, our chef at the camp is very good about accommodating whatever the needs are for campers and what they eat, um, and picky eaters. Um, so they have the rest hour is about an hour, 15 minutes. And then after rest hour, it may be an all camp swim. It may be a cabin choice activity. But that lasts for about 2.5 hours in the afternoon. Then they have a break before dinner, which could be a cabin activity or just getting ready, and then dinner again with the whole camp. And then evenings, we have different program every night. A couple of the nights we have an all camp activity, which is where we all get to do a bunch of fun things together. There could be rotation of stations. We do have a tradition, it's called Mestival, that we always do. And that's like the favorite thing for campers, where we get very messy and come up with creative ways every year to how to do that. Um, and then the younger kids are in bed by 8:30, I would say, um, if they last that long. Program is over at 7:30, so that there's time if there needs to be showers or whatever. And then the little group time that they all have cabin closing. The older campers get to stay up a bit later, and sometimes there's an evening activity for some of the older campers. And then morning time, we start all over again. But the other nights of the week, we do have a talent show every session, and we have a dance every session. So um, it's a jam-packed day. Sometimes we think, oh my gosh, do we have enough activities planned? We have enough activities planned. Everyone's busy all day, and they're ready to go to bed at night and ready to get going again in the morning. So it's a fun week. We keep them busy. They do have some, I mean, we do have a schedule, but there is some time that the cabin groups can make some decisions too about some activities they would like to do, which is really helpful, especially when we have all different ages, that there's some things that are easier for different age groups or more fun depending on their age on what they would like to do. And then the last day we have our rotation um, in the morning, and then we have some special closing traditions that we do before campers leave. So we start camp, registration is, or check-in is done. We just stagger it on Monday morning. So we get moving by about 10:30 or 11. The cabin groups get to start their day, and then we end at 3 on Fridays. And again, we have the same staffing. We have two nurses or two counselors and a nurse, and we have typically 4 or 5 cardiologists that are with us at camp for the week. And our camp has 100 plus campers. I think we had 105 or 10 campers last year. So it's a nice large size camp, but it feels very much like home. And we stay in cabins, but all of our cabins have air conditioning, and some of them we have a couple of the older cabins. We have the other accommodation are like conference centers where they're like bunk rooms, and they all have bathrooms and showers and everything. Right. If it's a cabin, it's right in their cabin. If it's a bunk room, it's just outside the door of the cab or in the hallway. So I think I got it all for quick
Mhm.
a quick overview. If you want to talk about
Yes.
Minnesota, Brooke.
I'm going to do my best not to copy everything that Carrie said, but it's going to be very similar. In Minnesota, we have 3 weeks of camp, Monday through Friday, much like she said, where Monday and Friday are a little bit different, but same which day and the days are in the middle are the same. Our first session this year is elementary. Our second session is high schoolers, and then our third session is middle schoolers. And because our kids are segmented by age, we get to do a lot of different activities. It's hard to say if we have one tradition um, that would go over the entire 3 sessions, but I will say the schedule is very consistent over every 3 sessions, and much to Carrie's description, ours is just very, very little bits of different. In our mornings, we start with what we call polar bear, and the kids have an opportunity to go run into the lake and then go warm up in the sauna. And then we have flag ceremony where we go out to the flag at the point and come together to speak about the Odayin way, which is kind of just the way we treat ourselves and others at camp. We learned a dance last year, which was really fun. And so we have like an all camp dance. And one cabin group is in charge of presenting a few things in the morning for our camp, flag ceremony. And then our day is just exactly like Carrie said. Our morning activities include archery and boating. We have a lot of arts and crafts, horseback riding. Let's see, I'm walking myself around camp. Water balloon slash like water games, nature. We do thank you cards to thank all of the people who helped send us to camp. And every day the kids are doing something different. They'll have 3 or 4 activities to do with their cabin group. And this time is actually very relaxed. They are doing a lot of walking, but they don't have to. We have golf carts that move kids around a lot of the times. Even though there is a lot of movement, we work really, really hard to make sure every kid can participate. So whether that's activities in the morning or the stuff that we're doing in the evening, we have worked really hard with our program staff that we partner with to make sure that the kids aren't walking too far, that they're not running very much, that there's plenty of water breaks, that we have alternative activities if it's too hot or if it's raining, inclement weather. We pay attention to the air quality. And so we always have a backup plan and we have not just fun activities for the kids to do that they're used to, but things that just in case we need to kind of implement something different. Our waterfront time is really fun as well. It's 2 hours in the afternoon. We have boats that are running for the kids to go round tubing, couch tubing. There's a pontoon boat, stand-up paddle boards. There's volleyball net. There's a swimming platform they can jump off of. And I will say, and I think this is the same for Carrie in Wisconsin, that the kids all take a swimming test. If they want to go past a certain rope, which puts the water like at their belly button, or maybe if they're short, maybe at their shoulders, they have to swim across, and the lifeguards are there making sure that they pass this test. They can still go in the deep end. If they don't pass the test, they will just have to wear a life jacket. Sometimes kids don't want to take the swim test, and that's perfectly fine. They would just wear a life jacket when they got in the water. Sometimes we have parents who require that and say, my kid has to wear a life jacket, and that's totally fine. We'll make sure that those are available. And then our evenings are structured much the same as Wisconsin. We have a different activity every night. Sometimes the kids are rotating with their cabin group. We often do that the first night just to kind of build that cabin unity. And then oftentimes we have a large group activity. We've had a museum come and do activities with science. We've had bounce houses. We have had fire trucks. We've had dunk tanks, and you name it. We make the most out of that time. But like Carrie said, from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, you've got 2 counselors and a nurse with your kid, making sure that they are hydrated, that they have sunscreen on, that they have bug spray if they need it. If they need to step away to do certain things with their meds, then nurses will make sure that that's taken care of on schedule, and those kinds of things happening. The evenings are about the same as Wisconsin. We get done around 7:30, 7:45, and they have plenty of time to get settled before we consider lights out. And because we're structured a little bit differently with age, everybody goes to bed at the same time in Minnesota. Let's see, what might I be missing? And this is the same for Wisconsin, but we really focus in a lot on building that cabin unity with the small group. Even though they are at meals with everybody, they're sitting with their cabin group every single meal. Even though they're playing with their cabin group, the counselors and the nurses have got eyes on their kids. They know exactly where they are at all times. But some of the things that they do purposely during this time of cabin unity, even when they're cleaning their cabins, they're all putting together, they're all working together to make sure their cabin is well taken care of. They're eating together, they're getting dressed together, they're, planning their outfits together, and as well as eating and sleeping in the same. It really naturally just pulls them together really beautifully. I will say Monday and Tuesday are probably the roughest days, but come Wednesday, these kids don't want to go home. We hear time and time again that like my kid's coming back on Friday and they're crying, but they're crying because they don't want to leave camp. And we're ready for that. I can see from a bird's eye view the difference between a Monday and a Wednesday, and every time it makes me get emotional. I get emotional now. It's really beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna take a break. Somebody else go. Chris, I think you might be up unless we can ask questions of the families.
Can I just jump in real
Yeah.
quick? Because you mentioned this, Brooke, but I just want to emphasize it about the fact that even if we're in large groups, it is so important for us to have the kids with their cabin group for their nurses and counselors to be with them. The nurses, so we're not mixing them up and other people don't know what their situation is or if there's anything that they need to be watching. So just for you to be reassured that the people who know them best and have learned the most about them before the campers even got there are the ones that are going to be with them throughout the week.
That's a great comment, Carrie. Thanks for saying that, which turns or a little bit, Derek, about one of your questions too. So before your child even gets to camp, the nurse that is assigned to your child's cabin will have read their entire file. So they will have read notes from the last office visit, EKGs, echoes, surgery reports, if there's an IEP and a 504 in their file, what you've written down. Those nurses read every single word before they even get to meet your kid. So it's a great, and so have the counselors. The counselors have read, not the medical stuff. We don't expect them to know that, but the nurses really have that covered.
All right, what questions do you lovely people have? Oh my gosh, did we cover everything? Oh, I will say I really encourage every family in Minnesota to ride the bus. During that check-in time and after it includes time with your nurse, but it also includes a lot of time for you to transition from the care to your counselors. So we come together as a group. Sometimes the kids are doing a craft. Sometimes they're, I think they played a card game, a few of them. And so they have a chance to talk to their counselors. You get a chance to kind of watch the dynamics. You can see them introducing themselves to new people, right? And there's already starting this cohesion right away. This transition can then happen a little bit more slowly, right? Like we'll have kids who will say, okay, mom, I got this. Dad, I'm good. You can leave now, right? And you're like, okay, I can do this. I can walk out. And you can, I promise you. But oftentimes the parents want to stick around and the kids are not quite ready. Sometimes we'll have parents, standing outside at the bus and waving, and sometimes the kids cry. But I will say in my 10 years of being a director, I can count 3 kids who didn't get on the bus. And that's not very many. And oftentimes it had nothing to do with anything that we could control. But I will say that bus time is really, really impactful. And then on the bus, they have 2.5, 3 hours to sit with somebody, to talk with their counselor. And it's really a beautiful transition from home to camp. And then honestly, we keep them really busy. We keep them so busy sometimes that the only chance they have to really think about you guys is when it's nap time and then when it's bedtime, right? And that's what we're prepared for. Thankfully, we keep our cabin groups really small for this purpose because we train our staff to really pay attention to those nonverbal cues, right? Like if they're not participating or if they're not talking very much, or if maybe they're too excited or very over the top, right? Like we're paying attention to those nuances. We're watching how they're interacting and how they're participating to really see if there's something that we can do to be supportive, right? Going into camp, I would say that the best thing that you can do is something we'll talk about a little bit later is to get them prepared. And whether they're 8, whether they're 12, whether they're 15, all of the campers tend to come with us with certain characteristics that we're ready for. We're used to anxiety. We're used to homesickness. We're used to hyperactive kids who really love camp and can't go to sleep at night. And then we're used to the kids who are ready to crash at 7 and, they don't want us some more. They really just want to go to sleep. And sometimes they do. We've had kids just fall asleep at the fire and we just pick them up and take them to bed. I'm not sure if that answers your question. I feel like it was a really long answer for a really quick question. which might be worth it since it's her first time. However, she doesn't have to do the same way home, right? So like if you wanted to use the bus ride as like, okay, this is your first time, we're going to take every second we can to make sure that you're ready for camp and you get the most out of it. It might be worth for that ride up to camp, but she doesn't have to ride back. You could come pick her up in Cross Lake on Friday instead of her riding the bus back to the cities. Thank you. I should have said that. Summer camp is in Cross Lake, Minnesota. We partner with Camp Knutson.
Okay.
They will do the same process, just a little bit faster at Camp Knutson. We have about, I don't know, 12 to 15 kids who get checked in at camp. And it's the same thing. You would show up, you'd wait for the bus, and then you would have the same conversation at any point. You'd have the same check-in process with Roya's nurse. You would just really do it on a bench in the grass instead of at a table in a dining room. Sometimes if it's raining, you have to go inside, but you'll still have that moment of conversation, intake form, all that kind of stuff. However, right from there, we go into the cafeteria for lunch. And so sometimes the transition is a little bit trickier, just because it seems a little bit faster. And then we're going into a pretty loud dining room. So for some kids who are really sensitive to sound or just need a little bit more time, you can have it. And you're welcome to just kind of like hang around if you need to. But we kind of try and rip the Band-Aid off a little bit faster when you get dropped off at camp. And we will bring your little friend into the cafeteria and you will have to stay outside. Okay, I said it.
I just want to piggyback on that with regard to Wisconsin, how the way our drop off is the majority of our campers get dropped off at camp. And then we have a bus that comes from Milwaukee and we have a bus from Chicago. So if you're getting dropped off at camp, you're going to be meeting you're going to be meeting with the cabin nurse at camp. If it's at one of the other two locations, it could be a cabin nurse or an extra nurse that we have that helps to do the check-in, rides the bus. So that's just the difference in one of the other differences in the two camps. Same thing with, drop off. You don't have to check out in the same way as you do at camp if you're taking the bus, because it's just less people. It's just the flip-flop for you guys.
Did that answer your question?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, I know Chris was going to tell us a little bit more about the application process. I know most of you have already applied for winter camp. Am I right in saying that most of you have? Okay, Roy is coming.
So.
Owen's coming. Okay. Abby, are you coming to winter camp too? Okay. So Chris, maybe you could speak to a little bit of how the application will look as they apply for summer camp, knowing that all of their kids are coming to winter camp. What does that look like for them?
Yeah, so the summer application will feel very similar to the winter camp application. It was quite long, right? You had to do it in one sitting. You had to have all your information. If you didn't, so it's definitely going to be all that information, if not a little bit more when it comes to summer, but it's going to look very, very similar. And, my role is to make sure that I have all the information. I have your cardiologist approval, I have your forms, I have everything you need. And at any time, if you're like, oh, I didn't put this on there, oh, I should have mentioned something, I think it's really good for you to know you can always reach out and let us know. I can kind of do the back end thing and put in their cabin request, or put in that they, a specific food request or something. So at any time, if you think of something else we need to add to it, once you hit submit, you're always welcome to reach out and let us know. Because I think that's one of the questions that we've been hearing, special considerations. And I think you guys were all brave with applying for winter camp, but some families, maybe are watching this recording, may have those questions and then think, I don't know if I want to apply. So I really applaud that you're willing to let us know these things, so that way, we know for winter camp what's happening. But similarly, if something's changed or looks different for summer, those things we need to have those conversations, let us know. And I think one thing to note is we recommend during the application time that it's open, even if you're not certain if your kiddo is going to really want to go to camp, or you're having these conversations, you're on the fence, highly recommend apply. Because once the deadline happens and then you change your mind, it's a bummer. We can't get you in. But if let's say you've applied and it's just is not feeling like the right year, it's going to happen next year instead. That's totally fine. We can cancel, reimburse you what you need. So I would highly recommend um, really just going for it. And then we can have that conversation as you get closer to camp. So I think that's something that we can definitely talk through, especially if something comes up and you're like, oh, what about this? Give a call and talk to Brooke about how that's going to work at camp. So I think that flexibility, we're hoping that families feel very comfortable reaching out and asking us for that assistance for sure. So any questions, for the application process? I think you guys were all on it, but if you have any questions, we haven't done acceptance yet because we're still open for winter camp until the 20th, but more information will come when it comes to acceptance and all that information and emails will come your way soon. The Heart Hero is kind of on their own and being a little more independent. We really want to have that acceptance. And really the acceptance comes in the form of the cardiologist approval, as well as looking through to see, can we meet your kids' day-to-day activities, looking at their IEP and 504 will give us an idea of what their school day looks like or what assistance they need. And, are they independent enough to feel really comfortable at camp, making sure they'll be successful. And so that's kind of what the acceptance means. We are very open. And if we had any questions like, I don't know about this, we would definitely give you a call. Let's talk it through, make it work, and make a plan together versus us just saying, nope.
We're chuckling at that because we're like, oh, no, you won't ever get an I'm sorry email. You'll get a phone call and we'll talk through it. And then we'll be like, maybe next year, but I don't know. I've never seen an I'm sorry before.
But that's a really good question.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions about summer camp? All right, we're running kind of short on time. So I wanted to hear from the campers before we wrap up with some ideas on how to get you ready to come to camp. Are there any campers out there who would like to ask Carrie or I some questions about anything related to camp? Go. Do you want to know what we eat at camp? Okay. Anybody else? It's okay. You don't have to have any questions. Just didn't want to miss out on a chance to chat with you before we use the last 4 minutes wisely. Okay, what you got for us? Things that we eat at breakfast are like eggs and let's see, waffles, pancakes. We have lots of yummy stuff for lunch, sandwiches and chicken sandwiches. We've had tacos before. We have mac and cheese and chicken strips. And we've had roasted broccoli, which is my favorite. Let's see. Is that a good enough list? Did I check off anything that you like? Peanut butter and jelly. All right, well, that's a good list. There's still plenty more. I probably went through about 2.5 days of camp. Okay, I'm gonna let Carrie talk a little bit about, oh, did I hear a voice? Good question. There are also tubes for the lake when it's not frozen, during the summer. Anything else, Owen? Okay, if you have another question, just raise your hand. We'll be here at the end. I'm gonna have Carrie speak to a little bit about how we recommend getting your kid ready emotionally for camp. So let's speak, in about 3 minutes. That's all we got, Carrie.
Okie dokie. Well, first of all, for those campers who are here, you've already heard a lot of this. You're hearing a lot about camp. So parents, if you can just kind of reiterate the things that we've talked about, what the expectations are as far as what the routine's going to be like, um, and that they're going to be with the cabin group and who's going to be with them, just reassuring who's going to be taking care of them. It's their family while they're at camp. Um, Another thing would be just about the communication between home and camp. And winter camp, there's not really, this isn't, it's because it's so short, but during the summertime, if Brooke mentioned sending mail ahead of time. Also, when you pack, putting some maybe self or home addressed envelopes, stamps, some stationery so campers can write. And then parents, just reassuring that you're going to send them a letter or a bunk note. Kids love getting the bunk notes because that's an email, basically an email, and they get printed off and given to the campers at lunchtime. If somebody has not done a sleepover away from mom and dad or whoever you live with, probably a good time to practice would be now before you go to winter camp, just so that you do have a little bit of time to get used to not being with your parents or whoever it is you live with. So make sure that you do that. You're going to get lots of information once you register for camp about what to bring, what the schedules are, when you have to be where. So just kind of going through all that, having campers be a part of packing when they do get their packing list so they know what they have and they can help you check off to make sure they've got all their things. And just a reminder of it's kind of like being with maybe part of your class at school for a week or for 3 days like it is at winter camp, that's who's you're going to be hanging out with the whole time. So it's not totally different, but it's an overnight thing as well. Let's see what else. And then just again, it's the group. It's pretty much group things all the time. So group dining, group activities, group sleeping quarters. If somebody's used to having their own room, it's not happening at camp. So maybe even practice a family sleepover in somebody's room or the living room, so you can get used to who snores and who doesn't. Am I missing anything, Brooke?
I would have said all of that. Anybody else? Chris, Sarah, any other thoughts? Well
And
done,
then just
Carrie.
one of the things will be
Really did it.
what?
I said you really did it in 3 minutes.
Well, I'm going to go a little longer.
Okay.
Just, just when you get all the things you get from camp, and you're going to get a lot. You're going to get a lot of emails, and just please read them because there's a lot of important information in there, and it'll help you get your child ready, get their things that they need, and reassure you about what's happening. And again, always, always, always just call. Chris is your first line there for any questions. So, and if she can't answer your question, she'll refer it to one of us, and we will get in touch with you and answer them for you. The end.
All right. Any last minute questions out there? All right. Well, we're so grateful to see you and your lovely families. To be a part of your journey means the world to us. We will take good care of your children as much as we love time with you. We're really excited about being able to have some special time with your heart heroes and really show you what it's like to see them thrive. All right. We will send you off and see you again very, very soon. Good night.